except maybe Vidya have heard about this name, and the way it pronounced is Dhirubhai Ambani. The name is the first five letters Dhiru. Bhai in India is Mr. So whenever you are calling somebody, you respect them by saying Mr. Ambani or Mr. Dhiru, Dhiru Bhai. Bhai is the salutation to respect somebody. I just finished a book called Dhirubhaiism, how this man became what he was. He was born in 1932 in the same western state of India where I was born. I did not know him. That's why he was born in 1932. He was born to a family. His dad was a teacher, a very average family, rather poor family. So during his high school years, there are a couple big places of pilgrims where he used to go during the weekend and sell snack and some money. That's how he paid money. When he became 16-year-old, he passed his 11th grade. In our high school, when I graduated in 71, there was no such thing as a 12th grade. Later on, it was added. So in 32, he was born. 48, when he graduated from his 11th grade, he decided to pack. He said, I can't be selling snack and make a living. So he packed his stuff and went to a country called Yemen, Y-E-M-E-N. It's one of the Middle Eastern country. And he found a job as a gas station attendant. From that, again, limitations is in your mind. So he said, I'm not going to do this all my life. So he found a job in an oil company who was providing the oil to the Shell gas station he was working. And he worked there. So from 48 to 58, he worked in Yemen, and he accumulated 50,000 rupees. So in those days, 50,000 rupees will be equivalent to about $8,000. And he came to India. And he started his small trading firm where he would buy wholesale clothing and he will sell it. He will put that wholesale clothing, put it on his bike, go around small vendors and sell them. So he was kind of a trader between the mills who made the cloth and sold it to a retail merchant. He did that for a few years. And in 1976, he had this vision which came true. Between 74 and 76, he started his own mill, which is manufacturing cloth. And by 78, it was the best clothing in India you can find for your shirts and pants. For those of you who don't know, there was no such concept of ready-made clothing in India. Everything was custom made because there were a lot of people with a lot of time on their hands, so they will make clothing for you. In 76 to 78, he expanded, and I never met him, but I did go to his mill a couple times a year because when I was doing my certified public accounting, which is called chartered accountant in India, I was doing my internship. He was one of our clients. So a couple times a year, we will go and do some audits. I don't remember, and it was considered to be a very small company, and nobody even thought that this company will ever go anywhere. But this man had a vision. He had a vision to go places. And it is said that in 78, he was the first one who brought the concept of share and equity in India. There were companies and they had shares, but it was meant for rich people. Unless you had thousands of rupees, you cannot buy a share. He was the first one to introduce share market, and people could buy one share for 25 rupees. And a lot of people bought it. And by 80, the 25 rupee share became 200 rupees. There are lots and lots of families in India that have gotten their houses, their kids built, kids marriage, education, everything with just the shares from Reliance industry. That was its industry. There is a saying that and it is in this book, if there was one person who can be credited with having a thought, the Indian middle class to dream, it was him. People thought, I can buy something for 25, and 2 years later do that. He was very determined person. He never went further in his study, but he had a good vision. So when he created this Vimo Industries, Reliance Industries to make clothing, he said, what is next? So next thing he came to his mind was petrochemicals. He wanted to get in the oil. Oil was still his first love. So he started that. From that he went into telecommunication, IT, entertainment. You just name it, and right now, his company has it. He passed away in 2002, and he gave his companies to his two sons. There are two sons, and I have a picture and a name in the presentation. And both the sons decided in 2003 that they were too big and they were stepping on each other's toes, so they decided to split. And they shared the industries. If they had stayed together, they would have been the richest person in the entire world. Right now, both of them have about $50 billion each dollar. I'm not talking rupees here. That's how well they've accumulated. I'm not talking about the sons. Father is the one who passed on to the youth. He believed that if you give enough support and enough direction to the youth, they can go places, and nobody should really limit them from anything. Dhirubhai's personal thing was, you must have dare to dream. If you dream, there is a whole world to win. He says, think big, think fast, and think ahead. So he didn't just think textile. He said, think big, think fast, and think ahead. When he started his telecommunication company, when I came to this country in 1982, to call India, you had to book a call 24 hours ahead of the time. And the operator will come and say, okay, now you can talk to so-and-so. And it will cost you $6.50 a minute. My wife was in India at that time. So every 3 months, I'll call her for 3 minutes because $6.50 was my hour-and-a-half salary. So I couldn't afford to call. We will write later. So Dhirubhai's principle was that if you want people to use your phones, make it affordable. In India, most people used postcard to communicate with each other. So he said, a phone call, it takes 1 minute to read a postcard. So a minute phone call should not cost you more than the cost of the postcard. So right now, his telecommunication allows me to call India for 6.5 cents. 6.50 30 years ago, now is 6.5 cents. But that's how visionary he had. He said, you deliver to people at the cost they can afford. And that's what he did all his life. He believed in his people. He trusted. In the book, the guy who created his marketing empire, he says, we failed many times because we were a small company. And as against trying to give a big marketing company money to market our product, we decided to have our own marketing. And we failed miserably. But never once he got mad at anybody. He was always there. And he said his best way to communicate is he will come close to you and he will put his hand on your shoulder and say, do not worry, we will come out of this. So that was his best way of communication that he delivered. He batted on his people. He said, never, your people are the one who are going to make you win. So these are the life philosophy he had in his life. He says, between my past, the present, and the future, there is a one common factor, relationship and trust. This is the foundation of a growth. And the other big saying he had said is that when things go wrong, be the best ally of your staff. So this man had a vision, this man had a courage, this man had everything one can expect. So what was his life message? Not just limitations are on you in your mind. He says, do not let present norms govern your vision. He was not limited that he was born in a teacher family or he was selling snack or he was doing and that. He believed thinking big, thinking fast, and thinking ahead. He said, hope is your most powerful weapon. Find a friend in every human being. He always found a friend in every human being. He had a personality where anybody who went to get an help, he will give a help. He never dished out money. If somebody went and says, I need employment, I'll give you an employment. I need to start a business, here is the capital. You start your business and I'll support you. He says, success is always within your reach if you tried hard. He did, and he created his empire. As I said in the beginning, he was the one who really was behind. There were 2 or 3 people, and I'll talk to you about those people later in future speeches, India is where it is because of people like him who really saw a vision and they said the wealth is to be distributed and you need to make everybody rich along the way when you are becoming wealthy. And he is the one who planted a concept of buying shares, making investment, and making more money. So if you have more interest, you can go on internet and find as much as you need. But this is the man I really admire. He died at the age of 70, but before he died, he had created an empire that people cannot even think about. So keep in mind, limitations are only in your mind. You can do anything, everything, whatever you want to. Back to you.